Okay, welcome back everyone. Like you can see, I still rock garbage, and that's literally why we won't be playing any games today. I just ordered headphones. They are coming in today, but I don't know when. They can be here somewhere between now and 10 p.m. I got Amazon Prime for that, so I won't have to pay $10 for the delivery. Yeah, fun times. So today we are only yapping because, like I said, no gaming. Uh, and actually later we'll show you the channel and the video, which made me decide on buying the specific headphones because the channel of that guy is amazing. I've never seen an a channel with reviews for headphones, and he has also other audio stuff, but I didn't look at that because I was in for the headphones, and it's so good. Like quality wise and what he does, it's so good. But first, um, the end of California. Let's have some fun.
So a wave of home invasions is sweeping over not just Southern California, but other areas of America as well. And while nobody in any of the recent California raids has been busted yet, all of these robberies have one frightening thing in common. Something which most sanctuary city residents claim isn't happening.
You guys and me, you and me, we know. We know. We know.
Here we go again, another night, and more reports coming in of home break-ins, not one, but two through the San Fernando Valley, one of them ending in violence, gunfire.
They took everything.
This was the chaos left behind after burglars ransacked this Encino home a few weeks ago while the family was away, stealing 3 cars packed with anything the thieves could grab.
Police trying to calm fears, neighbors demanding better response from LAPD.
We were coming out of the car. My son immediately said, "Who's that?"
The realization hit fast. Ortiz says the men had just broken into her home and were running off with more than just spare change.
LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell saying that he's promising an increase in patrols in Encino. He believes the string of crimes happening there was connected to an organized crew from South America.
Oh my god, who could have guessed? By the way, that's also, you don't get arrested if you steal for below $1,000. Who could have guessed that if you don't arrest people for stealing things that are less than $1,000, that might turn out to be a bad thing? Who could have guessed?
You saying earlier just life in LA?
It's life in LA.
Home invaders are taking over California. I'm not surprised. No one is. I don't believe anyone is surprised. Except, for the usual people. The stupid.
So these recent burglaries in California have yielded no arrest, but sometimes when these criminals get caught...
Oh, look at that. ICE arrests a female burglary ring in Massachusetts. Oh my god. This is so sexist. This is so sexist. You can't say that. This is sexist and transphobic. You can do that. You don't know if they are all female. Well, actually, after Trump signed the thing, they're saying they are female, not that they are women. So there might be men in there.
Turns out they're here illegally. And what nobody's talking
Oh, who could have guessed? It's just like in Sweden and Great Britain and Germany and the Netherlands and Belgium and France and Italy and Spain and Portugal and Austria. Figured something out. I didn't say any Eastern European countries. I wonder why.
Talking about is this type of crime right here. It is most common in areas of the country that are not only sanctuary cities, but have also defunded and hamstrung their police departments, which explains why many of these criminals are never caught. And police in LA, where this
Oh my god. Yeah, this is not even stealing. This is basically a riot. This is just looting.
new crime wave is taking place, have been preoccupied over the last few months dealing with their own residents who've been rioting and assaulting federal agents every chance they get, causing so much chaos. Officers
Start shooting them. The moment a couple of people are dead, they stop. Because they're little kids that don't know what they're doing. These people are all paid actors. Or they're just, you know?
are no longer around to protect the homes of the law-abiding. But it's not just a lack of police that's a problem. Once you make yourself a sanctuary city, you become a magnet for the worst criminals on earth, who just had 4 years to walk in through our...
The same as thing is in Germany. The cities and towns where, you know, oh, we are so progressive, we are so left, they're all ridden with crime. All. That's why if you're a tourist, stay away from the big cities. Unless you like to become the victim of a crime. Especially as a woman. Oh my god. If you like being, you know, forcefully taken by a group of men of a certain ethnicity, sure, go ahead, go there. Statistically, that happens twice a day, minimum, in Germany alone.
Formerly open border, bringing with them sophisticated tactics local police departments and homeowners have never faced before. Tactics which are now becoming the go-to methods for robbing homes across America by burglars of all backgrounds. And that brings us to the real reason why we've got this wave of home invasions taking over the Los Angeles area. This is a crime that...
But not Texas, not Florida. I wonder why.
Apparently pays big time, and since nobody gets caught, to criminals, that means they should try and do it again. Which means this robbery spree targeting wealthy progressives will likely get worse before it gets better, because the solution to crime is to bring in law enforcement. But oh no, that might mean somebody ends up getting deported, and nobody in California wants that. But this has brought things to a point where being a sanctuary city is now costing its residents big time.
5 people were...
And they don't like that. The moment something affects someone, starts affecting someone, they all of a sudden change their mind on it. I wonder why. I wonder.
Were arrested in Fontana, believed to be a part of a transnational organization.
Look at all these white people. With all the blue eyes and blonde hair. And yes, I'm making this a race thing. If you don't like it, go jump in the ocean.
Burglary ring. Detectives say the 4 men and woman dressed up like delivery workers.
By 1:50, 20 minutes after the initial door knock, 3 men run out with a backpack and suitcase, jump into the same white SUV, and drive off before...
The thing is, they might have worked at Amazon, obviously, and just kept the uniform. That's a possibility. Or they had people working at Amazon, then they just took only uniforms. I mean, I have still my work clothes from back in the day. I can go around and, you know, pretend that, you know, oh yeah, this is I have to do this and that. You have to let me in or whatever. It works, especially with old people and women and children. Men, not so much. And with men, you wouldn't actually try. That's too dangerous. But all the weak people, yes.
Officers arrived.
So here we've got a foreign theft group operating in a sanctuary city of all places. What a surprise. But as we're learning from the
total surprise.
LAPD, once hordes of sophisticated criminals make your state their home, it won't be long before they teach.
Cargo theft? That's something we are talking about cargo. So trains, trucks. That's a lot. That's a lot of things you have. Wow. I mean, the amount that you steal from a truck or a train, wow, that's huge. I mean, sure, if the train is standing on the rails, waiting for its turn to move, yeah, you can just open the well, yes, of course. I mean, what are you expecting? If they get away with cargo theft and kidnapping, why not attempt it, the M word? Why not? I mean, if there is no police, then you get away with it. It's not hard. It's really not hard.
Teach other criminals the methods of their madness, which, as you're about to see, could cause the entire state of California to collapse.
Well, the LAPD chief says it's possible groups of local burglars who, it appears, are responsible for many of these recent break-ins have now adopted some techniques favored by so-called tourist burglars, the foreign groups that had been behind dozens of home burglaries across Southern California in recent years and had been using their own surveillance cameras to pick out homes to target.
Whoa.
They're replicating.
That's interesting. They probably got into the system of I forgot how the company is called. The doorbell thingy that have the cameras. They probably got into that system and can see the insides of the house, because they also have cameras, can have cameras inside the house. Nice. It's actually clever. Who could have guessed that these people are clever?
The tactics and MO of the South American burglary crews, using jammers, more sophisticated pre-incident surveillance, where they may have cameras laid out on the property or on a car parked on the street across from the target house for a period of time to be.
So they haven't caught anybody. They don't know who's doing the stealing. They do know that the tactics being used in these new crimes are exactly how foreign theft groups were robbing homes recently, and they do speculate that some of the crimes taking place in a nearby community were all related to a particular foreign theft group. But to be honest with
Who could have guessed? Who could have guessed that all the organized crime stuff is being run by people from the outside, just like in Germany and the UK and Sweden and the Netherlands and Belgium and France and Austria. Totally not like Europe. Totally not.
you, it doesn't necessarily matter, because the fact that California is a sanctuary state allowed these foreign theft groups to come and set up shop in the first place. And when you've got
Sweden? Yes, Sweden is ridden with crime. They have no-go areas where the police doesn't go, because it's too dangerous for them to go into them. Even ambulances, they don't want to go there. Fire trucks, they don't want to go there because they will get attacked by the people there. Now I could tell you who these people are, but I'm not really allowed to. I don't want to get arrested, so I won't. but I think you will know.
Illegal criminals who aren't even supposed to be here, popularizing a new way to break into homes and.
Same happens here. I know of one guy in some town in Germany. He's supposed to go back to his country. He's a serial criminal, like he commits crimes all the time. But he doesn't have a passport. He lost it while coming here. He didn't. He threw it away. That's what they all do. And his country of origin is not really working with the German government to figure out who that guy is. Probably because they don't want the criminal back, which is understandable. But he's also not getting arrested and sent to prison for his crimes here. So he's just running around committing crimes because no one is stopping him. And that's not just one person, that's all over the place. POV Western Sydney, yep. That's for example also Berlin. It is full of people like that. All the big cities, they're full of people like that. And you know, certain groups of people protect these people. Because they want them here. A lot of people that want them here are women. Because they have sex with them. It's that simple. It's that simple.
Steal people's American dream. What do you expect other criminals to do? Of course they're going to pick up on these tactics. Of course they're going to try to do the same thing. And this isn't just happening at people's homes. A few weeks ago, jewelry stores were being robbed in this same part of the country. And the criminals they caught doing this were people in the country illegally. They were using
Yes, of course. What are you expecting? Why are we expecting anything else?
jammers. The tactics were exactly the same as what we're seeing at these home invasions.
Chief Jim McDonald told the Board of Police Commissioners today these groups of thieves suspected in a lot of these recent cases have been caught with those Wi-Fi jammers that can disable some security cameras and systems. But he says they've also been cutting telephone and internet or camera cables, and in some cases using this new tactic of dropping a car off on the street with a camera running inside to remotely case a home or neighborhood. He says there's also a sophisticated network on the back end to sell the stolen loot.
So this is exactly what was happening in the recent jewelry store robberies. What happened was criminals cut cables in the street to disable hardened wired connections to a security system. If you have a little Wi-Fi camera, those jammers can take that out. They can also disrupt police radio traffic in the nearby area, which stops the ability of officers to communicate with each other and respond to an incident quickly and safely. This is all very, very dangerous. But this danger...
Where are they getting that stuff from? Well, it's actually not. The thing is, you might be able to buy some stuff like that legally, but there's also the possibility that, you know, there are engineers who know how things work and they build these things for criminals. Specifically, completely underground economy. That's a possibility. Like the cartels would have way more than enough money to finance something like that. It's not really that hard if you are an engineer, an electric engineer, you know, stuff like that, that knows about these things, to build a tool that can do that. It's not that hard. If you know what you're doing. I couldn't. I would have to do way too much research. But yeah, I would guess these are the two options. It's either buying stuff legally and using it for illegal stuff, or underground engineering and production. I mean, you can have these things produced in China and then exported. China doesn't care as long as you don't use it in China. So is Germany. it's mostly the big cities and towns. On the countryside, you're fine. As long as it's the native population is the absolute majority there. Like the absolute majority, not like some villages in Germany where you have a population of 100 people and then they get 300 asylum seekers there. Put there by the state. Yeah, fun times.
Only exists because of California's sanctuary status. These foreign fugitives came into California, started doing their thing, and now they've caught both illegal immigrants and local burglars using these jamming devices, doing things the exact same way. It's almost like the criminal underworld has teamed up against the law-abiding in ways nobody...
Why wouldn't they? California is literally an open treasure. Just take what you want. Who's going to stop them? No one. There is no police. And the people they rob, they don't have guns because they are against guns. Who's stopping them? No one. So why wouldn't they do it? There's no reason for them to not do it unless they are, oh, I don't want to be a criminal. But they don't care. They want money.
Ever would have predicted. Nobody who thinks being a sanctuary city or state is a smart idea, anyways.
They go after, expensive handbags and jewelry and things that are easily be for resale.
Yep.
And then the crews generally transport that stolen property to a warehouse type arrangement, very organized, and then distributed from there.
Yep, that's exactly what they were doing in New York. A pawn shop in New York City was busted, teaming up with a group of people who were in the country illegally, who were robbing celebrity homes all over the country. They take whatever they steal and they bring it somewhere else and they sell it there to get rid of it.
Oh, there are so many teenagers in Australia having machete wars at the shopping center. That's happening in the UK too. So far, I haven't seen that in Germany. But we also have a lot of gun violence and knife violence. Like the murder rate in Germany last year, I think about 14,000 people were, in Germany. That's the highest number they said in 30 years. Which is hard to even believe that back then so many people were, murdered. But yeah, that's becoming the norm here, because the people that think that's they can do that, becoming more and more, while the people that think you can't, becoming less and less. I mean, in Germany, 250,000 people leave Germany every year. And that's the people with money and good education. Leaving people like me behind. The people that, the good people that know stuff, that want to work, can work, or work. A lot of retired people leave the country because you can't live here anymore peacefully. Oh, I saw a guy in my school vaping in the toilets today. That's nothing. I remember in my school, kids were drinking beer before school and getting high and stuff like that. That wasn't the norm. But I also was at a bad school. Why didn't my mother let me go there? Well, because she didn't care. But yeah, that's... Yes, drinking. Alcohol. Yeah, that's... In Germany, by the way, you can drink starting at the age of 16. So getting a beer, wine, or we call it Sekt, You can do that when you're 16. It's not a problem at all. Yep. I mean, my first alcoholic drink I had officially when I was about 13 or 14 at the Christmas party with my family. I had 2 glasses. That's it. That wasn't a lot. And my grandma and my mother were watching me. They were literally sitting around me while I was drinking. Yeah. Fun times.
And what this probably means is that the criminals who are robbing homes all over Los Angeles who haven't been apprehended yet, although we don't know who these people are, they're probably using the same fencing networks that were established by illegal immigrants to begin with. So what you have here is, at a minimum, you have criminals who came into America illegally, established a new way to commit crime, built the infrastructure to commit it, and it's now being used by basically everybody. And you better believe that if a new gang wants to use your criminal infrastructure, you're gonna make them pay for it.
They took every.
Of course. I mean, that's clever business. A new gang comes in and wants to, use your stuff. You make them pay for it. That's literally what big companies do. You want to use their facilities or whatever, you have to pay for it. I mean, that's normal.
Everything. This was the chaos left behind after
Look at this
burglars
place.
ransacked this Encino home a few weeks ago while the
They
family
went in
was
every
away,
cabinet.
stealing 3 cars packed with anything the thieves could grab.
They took our passports, our social security cards, all our jewelry that they could find.
Mari, not her real name, is afraid to share her identity in case they come back because they already have. Just
What?
days after the first break-in, the intruders returned and
It must have been a different group. I don't believe it's the same people because you don't go back. You don't go back. That's too risky.
this time Mari's family was sleeping inside.
They did get into her room.
Wow. That's insane. So this family, who appear to have a fairly nice house, they've been robbed twice. And the first time, they weren't even there. The criminals got everything plus 3 cars. Apparently, that's insane. But what else did they steal? In addition to valuables, they took something else that's extremely valuable. They took people's identity documents. And what can you do with those? Well, if you're in the criminal
That's very valuable. Oh my god. Oh.
underworld and you're in a sanctuary city, you got a lot of people out there who are willing to pay money to get themselves a social security number or a bogus US passport. And the identities of these people will probably be used to create fraudulent identities for an untold number of future criminals, which means these people are going to have identity theft problems for the rest of their lives because their home got robbed. But as you're about to see, instead of solving crime, it looks like to some residents that their own police department is engaged in a cover-up.
It's just
This is great. Oh my god. Life writes the best stories. This is amazing. This is so fun. This is really, I think this is funny. Because these people voted for this shit. And now they get exactly what they voted for.
one of dozens of residential burglaries in Encino over the past 2 years. Last week, just hours after LAPD told hundreds at a community meeting the number of break-ins is down, there were 2 more confirmed burglaries in town that very night.
Wow.
One, believe it or not, witnessed by Mark.
So as the police are up there saying, crime is down, we've got it, everything's fine.
The thing is, that can't even be true. But it can still happen. Oh, what? Oh, right. For a moment, I thought there was something wrong with my green screen, but it's just my mouse.
Homes are getting robbed and crime is going up. But that's because the police are not only short-staffed, their entire society has aligned itself against law enforcement by making it their mission to protect federal fugitives. And when you protect part of the criminal underworld, it's just going to establish itself. It's just going to grow. It's just going to expand in ways that none of the people who think these criminals aren't real can predict. And part of me thinks that the police don't want to know who these criminals are who are robbing their homes. They'd prefer it if these criminals just made this their last heist and just disappeared off into the sunset, because once we find out who these people are and what they're actually up to, I think it's going to horrify all of us.
Also not her real name, who was at the meeting with her husband.
What does he mean by that? That's a serious question. What does he mean by that? I mean, they could try and push the people out of the area and take it over. For the cartels, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. But how likely is that? Because getting the cartel officially into California, that might be seen by the government as an invasion of a foreign power. And that would mean the military is in on the game. And that would get bloody.
Watch them jump over a gate and run into a car and take off. That was kind of a breaking point for me, where you see that and you're like, it is this bad.
As LAPD steps up its patrols, terrified locals are looking for help anywhere they can, even from the highest levels of government.
Or consulting with, Department of Defense contractors to...
What about President Trump? What about ICE? They don't want help from the highest levels of the federal government. And you know something? I feel bad for the local police. There are law and order people on the police force, possibly even the police chief, but they know they're operating in a sanctuary city. They know they're operating in hostile territory.
David is ex-Israeli military and a professional paintball celebrity, now training locals. First, they get used to holding and shooting paintball guns that...
Funny, the people that are against guns all of a sudden want to have guns, even if it's just paintball guns. Oh, this is so nice. And hello, Selena. Thanks for the follow. This is amazing. Yes, paintball guys are crazy. I actually like paintball stuff. Would do it myself, but too expensive, and I'm done. But this is insane. The people that hate guns get the guns. So far, so good. Could be better, could be worse.
Look and weigh exactly the same as the real
That's
thing,
a paintball gun.
and then practice with real guns at a shooting range.
Exactly what my goal is that they feel comfortable about using this in a situation, and that's where the muscle memory comes in.
If it seems extreme, it is, and they say things will only get more drastic until they feel safe. For now, they have...
This is all the proof.
Things will get more drastic until they improve. So what does that mean? Do they get real guns? Because they basically can't. It's California. It's really hard. So what do they mean? Armed? Will they have armed? Oh, why hurt the bad people when you can just delete them? Yeah. Are you a daily streamer? Not really, no. I can't because injury.
You need that progressive policies are an absolute failure. If you've got people going the home defense route to protect them and their families, well, that's not very progressive at all, is it? You're supposed to sit back and let law enforcement do everything, but we've progressively defunded our law enforcement, and we've progressively decided we're not going to put criminals in jail when they do things that are wrong. But as you're about to see, the real reason all of this is happening has to do with the fact that criminals don't get punished for anything here.
Want to get aggressive enforcement for vehicles that have tinted windows, don't have license plates, the kind of situations where by the police not doing what they I think should be doing is what allows people to get away with the crimes they're committing.
Right. So when they do this aggressive enforcement, when they go after vehicles with tinted windows or no license plate, they're not doing that. They're not going after those. It's not very progressive, but police have to start going after criminals for the little things, because if criminals get away with a little bit, they'll get away with a little bit more and more and more and more.
Yes, exactly. That's happening everywhere in Europe, almost. Not East Europe, because they've learned the lesson from the rest of Europe. They don't want to be like Germany, or Sweden, or the UK, or France.
Pretty soon they're in your home and no one is coming to arrest them because the police are busy somewhere else. There's just so much crime going on. You essentially teach criminals that when they're teenagers and they steal from a gas station, nothing's going to happen to them. They get great at evading law enforcement. And what do they grow up and do? Well, some of them might grow up and decide to become criminals, and they've gotten a lot of practice at it because criminals don't suffer any consequences for what they do wrong.
Exactly, and that's why they ransack little. I have seen them getting into Apple Store and just emptying it. And no one was stopping them, because why would they? Why would anyone stop them? They wouldn't get charged. If you steal for less than $1,000 in California, you will not get charged with a crime. So you just do it 100 times. 100 times doing that can be $100,000. You will not get charged. Isn't this nice?
Good start, but there's a lot more. We want the use of technology, which costs less than hiring police officers, surveillance cameras, drones, AI, and not just for Encino, every community in the city.
So they don't want to hire police because they don't think police are a great idea. But what they do want...
Police bad. How we stop crime? These people are so dumb.
It's drones and AI. They want ChatGPT to stop criminals from breaking into their house. What's that going to do? We've already got plenty of video footage.
And the thing is, police won't stop someone from breaking into your house. It makes it more likely that they're being caught. That's the thing. You can't stop people from doing crimes unless you arrest them. Stop crime by harsh punishment. Yes, I don't remember the country, but one in Latin America. They basically imprisoned 2% of the population, and the crime got down by 90 or 95%. That's massive. Now, it might be that the guy is turning into a dictator, but I think the people down there wouldn't mind. Just because having crime down at least 90% is massive. Like if we had that in Germany, 90% less crime, wow. Women could finally get out of the house at night again. El Salvador, yeah, that might be it, yes. And the camps in China, the thing is, you get there for, disagreeing with the government. I mean, if the people are happy, then I am fine with it. The thing is, people don't really care in what government system they live in, as long as they don't being, fucked over by the government. People are fine living in dictatorships, as long as the dictatorship doesn't come after them. And that's the thing. If you have a dictatorship and you treat your people well enough and let them have enough freedom, as long as they don't go after you, everything is fine. Everything is fine. But that's rarely the case.
Of these criminals robbing homes over and over again. But what does that show us? It shows us a bunch of people who are masked up, getting away with something before the police show up. You can have all the cameras in the world. Cameras don't stop crime. What you do with those cameras could enable you to stop crime. But recording crimes of masked individuals and playing them back for the news after these things have already happened, well, it doesn't exactly stop that crime, because that crime's over. That crime's been recorded. It happened. People lost everything. They lost their passports. They lost their cars. They've been bankrupted, and now they're going to have identity theft problems for the rest of their lives. To me, the solution here is pretty obvious. Build a jail. Fill it up. But what do you think? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
I completely agree with him. If you don't arrest the criminals and put them into prisons, the problem will continue. And it's not like, oh, these poor people, let's give them jobs. They don't want the jobs. The jobs are more work for less money. For most of these people. Now, there are people there that would do that. I can guarantee you, because in Germany, we have, when you go to prison, our prison system is focused on rehabilitation. So if you go to prison for a crime for a couple of years, you can literally get job education in the prison and come out as, for example, a plumber. A plumber? Yeah, a plumber. Or electrician or something like that. That's possible here, and it works. But it depends on the individual. Individual. You can't do that like with a mass rapist. When you have 20 guys that just, raped a bunch of 12-year-olds, you can't do that. You can have those people be free. Norway prisons are insane. Yes. The thing is, depending on the crime, you shouldn't punish all people the same. It should depend on the crime. And also, if someone steals because they are hungry and they haven't eaten 3 days, that's someone else than, I want these headphones, so I steal them. Two different things. So they should be punished differently. And the thing is, if you send the guy that stole the bread into prison, he doesn't care. He eats every day now. It's even better for him. Yeah, that's my opinion. If you agree, you're welcome. If you don't, well, that's your opinion. Yeah. I don't know for how long I'm going to go today. Thing is, I already am kind of in pain. But one thing that I wanted to do, and I might make a series out of this. I was shopping for new headphones because, these are trash and the other ones broke. So I need something new. Well, my usual neck pain. It's my injury. How can I explain it? Basically, things that should be there are basically gone. That's fundamentally it. What should be there is almost basically gone. And that's why I have problems. Shingles. I don't even know what shingles is. No, it's I think it's from sitting too much and not moving enough. Which is, by the way, really, really dangerous. You should always move. Even if you have a job where you're sitting the entire day, you have to move. You have to get your joints and everything active. Especially your spine, because your spine, when between the bones, the things, the squishy ones, they when they get squeezed together and when they relax, that's how they get nutrients. So if you are sitting all day long, they don't get get that going, and then they kind of die. And that's what I think happened with my neck. That definitely happened with my lower back. And yes, I had the injuries too. Two actually, at the same spot. Yeah. Back to the headphones. While I was shopping for a new headphone. Hope you get better. Yeah. Worst case scenario, I won't. Best case scenario, I will. But thanks. I decided for the Audio-Technica ATH M50X. Why did I do it? Because of this video. Why this video? Because this guy is the master of reviewing headphones. I mean, over time, of course, looked at a lot of videos of headphones and headsets and stuff like that, and nothing, like literally nothing, compares to the way he does it. His channel name is Ask DRTK. I will link it, of course, below the video. I put myself over here. And we are going to watch this video. We're gonna watch it because I want to show you how he does this stuff. And I also want to show you why his method is so good. I mean, other reviewers, they just come, I mean, they just tell you, is it good or is it bad? He doesn't. He shows you. Because he measures things, which is amazing. He has graphs. How many headphone or headset videos or comparison videos have you seen that show you graphs? Unless it's graphs of pricing, which means not a lot. So let's get into it. I hope the audio will be fine.
The Audio-Technica M50X headphones have been very popular and earned a reputation with home, project, and pro studio users. They're popular with content creators, and they get a lot of use for general listening. So if you're thinking about picking up a pair of these headphones, what should you expect? How are they going to sound? Let's find out. And so in this review, first I'll roll back the clock. I'll unbox these headphones for you so you get an idea of what to expect there. Then we'll do some audio tests. I've got a sine wave sweep, music, and spoken word where we're going to compare original recordings with recordings made through these headphones using my binaural mic. So you're going to get to hear.
When have you seen someone do something like that? In a review for, headphones and headsets. I think Linus Tech Tips does something kind of that way, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen a lot of videos of them lately. I have seen a video lately of a headset that uses the same speakers, but is a headset. And they also said, yeah, this is great. Linus Tech Tips, by the way, uses this headset for basically all around their work. Like when they have their stream, and when they film, they use these headsets, not headsets, headphones. And they aren't cheap. I paid $160 for mine, taxes included, and shipping. Well, shipping was because of Amazon Premium, which I only got because I didn't want to pay $10 for delivering on the same day. back to the video.
What they actually sound like. Are they a true frequency response? Are they natural? They have boosted bass, boosted highs. You're going to get to hear that. After that, we'll do some game audio. Again, I'll record it on the binaural mic so you can get a sense of the spatial awareness that you're going to have with these headphones. So I do encourage you to wear the best set of headphones you have to listen to this review.
I would never listen to it with these. I listen through my speakers, which also aren't that great, but it worked out fine.
It's really going to give you an idea what's going on here. After that, I'll take a look at the build quality, let you know just how well these are made, and I'll go quickly over the features and specs before I give you my final thoughts. All right, so we'll go ahead and unbox these headphones. They come in the usual Audio-Technica packaging here. It's nicely put together, not over the top, but just right. So inside, when we open it up, we're going to get a number of things here. We get all our cables in a pouch. There's actually a storage pouch as well for the headphones, so if you want to transport them, that's nice to have. Then we get the headphones themselves. They're wrapped in some plastic. Definitely included in some good biodegradable packaging inside as well. Keep them safe. Take a look at the pouch. It's, again, a standard Audio-Technica pouch here. It's kind of a pleather, has a tie top on it, so this will protect your headphones for you. Next, we'll open up the cables. This set of headphones comes with 3 cables, actually. We get 2 straight cables and 1 coil cable, so
And that's why it costs $160. I really look forward to testing these. Depending on the time they are coming in today, I might use them to play some War Thunder for the dailies. I'm totally not addicted. And tomorrow we will really get them tested. $160, euros. If it's in euros, it always includes the taxes. But yes, 160, which is a lot if you just want to play games and maybe listen to music, watching a movie. That is a lot, but I bought these. What, that is still like 180 Australian? Probably, yes. The thing is, I see this purchase as I will use them for years and years as an semi-professional, streaming and YouTube. So I can say yes, this is a good purchase. Because if I had gone for something cheap, I would have replaced it later when I make money with YouTube and streaming, which is my goal. So I rather pay now more to pay less later. Yeah, that is the thing. That's why it took me days to this. When did I start? We have Tuesday. Yeah, I started yesterday or the day before. I think I started on Sunday to kind of decide to look into headphones. And I think I looked into it for 12 hours so far, maybe 20 even, because I have the time. And that's why I'm so sure that I wanted these and not others. I thought about getting something even more expensive, $250, but I didn't like the high pitch results that we will see here that aren't there.
A lot of flexibility here depending where you want to use them. They have a locking end that connects into the headphones as well, so that's really nice to see. Then we get into the...
Which is great. So that means even if all these cables fail, I can still just get the new cable and still use the headphones. Which is awesome. Which is also one reason why I decided to buy this one.
The headphones themselves. Headphones again wrapped in plastic for protection here. Open them up. They feel nice. They feel a little more premium than some of the more basic models in the Audio-Technica M line of headphones. Good solid opening here. Headphones have swivel on them, so look pretty nice out of the box here. Everything is as you would expect. Some good padding on the top as well. Looks all right. Now, with all headphones and speakers, before I review them, I make sure that they're well burnt in. I let these run in for 24 hours with different programming through them. And in fact, I've had them for some time and used them for some mixing as well as tracking in the studio, general listening, even some podcast listening. So they're well running.
That's also why I like his channel. He actually does audio stuff. So he knows from experience. And he doesn't look like he started yesterday, you know. He's probably about my age, you know, in his early 40s, maybe mid or end. So he does this stuff probably for decades at this point. So he knows what he's doing. So he has the experience he actually has experience with a lot of different headphones. So that's also why I really like his channel. He has the experience. And then, you know, the extra on top. His room is crazy. Yeah, his room looks amazing. But this is, of course, his, you know, work room. So, of course, it looks crazy. If you're an audio dude, your room looks crazy all the time. That's the thing. Because you have to have so much stuff for all the audio stuff. It's insane.
And they're going to respond like a set that you've had for a while. So let's get into the audio test and see how they do. So for the first audio test, I'm going to use a sine wave sweep, and I'll record it first directly into the Scarlett 18i20.
Attention, this, if you're using headphones, this might hurt you. Lower the audio now.
20. And now we'll do the sine wave sweep through the M50Xs. So looking at the frequency.
Did you see that? Graphs. And yes, it hurt me. Like literally my eyes, my eyes are hurting from that sound. It's insane. On headphones, this must, really be painful. You have no idea what he's talking about. We are testing frequencies now. That was lows to highs, from the left to the right. That's what we are testing, and how accurate the headphones are compared to the original audio file.
Frequency comparison, we'll start out with the linear here, and you can see that from 20 to 20,000 hertz, it's pretty reasonable. Reproduction's pretty natural across all of those tones. We have in the headphone recording some additional high frequencies above 20,000 hertz. Those are going to be harmonics, resonances that are produced by the headphones because they do have a higher frequency response. Those were not part of the original tone generated by the sine wave sweep.
And when we look at the graph, it's insanely accurate. It's insanely accurate. And how he measured this, you have seen this head. That's a microphone head. Like the ear, it's a microphone. Same on the other side. And that's how he measures these things. Things like that, it's expensive, like really, really expensive. Good audio equipment is really, really expensive. That's why if you're even semi-professional, you can work with headphones that are $20. You can't. It won't work.
Do have a higher frequency response. Those were not part of the original tone generated by the sine wave sweep. So those can give a little bit brighter, more air. And there's one of the things that often gives headphones a kind of a different sound that a lot of people sense, but isn't necessarily part of the original program material. Now we'll take a look at the log analysis. Now we're looking at the log analysis here, and the reason we do that is because the log gives us a better representation of what we would actually hear versus linear. And you can see that from 20 to 20,000 hertz, the frequency response of these headphones is very, very close to the sine wave. So we're hearing what we're supposed to hear. Again, there's a few of those little higher frequencies here, but by and large, these headphones are actually giving a very true representation of the sine wave. Now, that's an individual frequency across the whole sweep. Next, we'll get into some music where we're asking these headphones to produce a lot of frequencies at the same time, and we'll see how they fare with that test. For the music test, we'll start out by recording music directly into the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20.
And by the way, we are 1/3 through the video now. And we have already 2 graphs to compare. And they compare really well. I've seen in testing headphones that are way worse. Like, way worse. I mean, they aren't horrible, but they are not as good. And that's where I was very, very picky. The thing is, I'm a very picky person because I'm poor. You might not believe that buying a 160 euros expensive pair of headphones. By the way, the Blue Yeti microphone here, I think that was also 150 back in the day. I'm not sure if they even are sold anymore. But yeah, audio stuff is expensive. And yeah, I'm always like this. If I buy something that's, most likely being expensive, I look for, the best bang for the buck. And this bang is really good.
And large, these headphones are actually giving a very true representation of the sine wave. Now, that's an individual frequency across the whole sweep. Next, we'll get into some music where we're asking these headphones to produce a lot of frequencies at the same time, and we'll see how they fare with that test. For the music test, we'll start out by recording music directly into the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. All right, and now let's record the music through the M50Xs.
Okay, so I couldn't hear a difference. I couldn't hear it with my speakers or with these ones, which is another reason why I bought these. The headphones. But for the ones who can see, down here is tool has overall frequency, what is played. And here's also overall musical notes. I didn't even know you could have something like that. I think this is awesome. This is an awesome measuring tool. That can tell you what notes are played. This is insane. My old ass didn't know this exists. I love it.
And now we're looking at the frequency comparison using the linear method here again with the music recorded directly into the Scarlett 18i20 versus the music recorded through the M50Xs on the binaural microphone. And
it looks almost identical. It looks almost identical. This is crazy. This is insane.
You can see that the frequency pattern here definitely is very, very similar between the two. These headphones on a linear basis are producing the tones we would expect. And now we're looking at the log comparison again of the original recording versus the recording made with the M50Xs. And I can't really say that there's any single area here that I would have to, say doesn't sound or isn't producing the tone the way the original music was intended to.
Yes, same. I mean, I have crappy audio equipment here, so not listening to it is not that, most likely not that great. My speakers are $30. $30 speakers from Creative. They're good for what they are. And with good, I mean they are fine. I had worse in the 90s, way worse. But personally, I look way more forward to listening to stuff with these headphones. That will be hopefully really good. Like really, really good.
And that's why these headphones are so popular for use in a studio application, whether it be for mixing, because they really do give you a pretty accurate representation of the intended sound. So from a log basis, absolutely the M50Xs will reproduce music in a way that's very true to the original recording. Now, a lot of you like to listen to spoken word, to podcasts and that, so let's see how they fare with that. For the spoken word test, I've pre-recorded some audio.
Yeah, this test is... It sounds stupid to test something like that, but it's actually important. Because I have seen other tests and the headphones change the tone of the voice somewhat. But these don't. At least not in a way that I was able to hear at all.
So first what we'll do is record it directly into the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. This is a sample of spoken word so we can tell how the M50Xs reproduce dialogue. Now we'll record some spoken word through the M50Xs. This is a sample of spoken word so we can tell how the M50Xs reproduce dialogue. We can see
I couldn't hear a difference at all. Now the graph says there are differences. But the differences are in a way that you most likely can't hear it unless you are an audiophile. But an audiophile won't buy headphones like these. Unless he buys them for a specific purpose. That's the thing, specific purpose.
See that overall the sound is there. There's a little bit of a scoop in those mid-lower tones, so that can actually give a bit of a scooped out sound when you're listening to actually spoken word again. So this is the first time we've really seen kind of any deviation on these headphones versus the original signal. But let's check out the log analysis before we make a decision here. And so now when we look at the log analysis, it actually lines up a lot closer. I mean, there's a little bit...
Yeah, there's that one dip that's there and that's looks big. It looks big. But the rest is looks identical almost. I mean, here's a little more. Here's a little more dip, I would say. Here in the original we have this fading, but here, But I couldn't hear a difference. But again, crappy audio.
Of information actually missing up in the highest end here. I don't really notice that so much when I'm actually listening to the headphones myself, but that's what the log comparison shows. Otherwise, pretty accurate throughout spoken range, but not 100%. So definitely the music comparison was a lot more accurate. The log comparison on the sine wave was a lot more accurate as well. Here on spoken word, we've got a little bit of coloration of the sound going on. Nothing that would be a problem. Now, let's take a look at some...
I agree, because I couldn't hear a difference. That's the thing. Even if the data shows a difference, if you can't hear it, then is it even there? I mean, of course it is, but if you can't hear it, then it doesn't matter. It's like anything else, if it has no effect, then it doesn't matter that there is something there.
Game audio, and we'll see just kind of what the spatial awareness is like here.
Power items en route.
Now, these are not by any means intended as a surround sound set of headphones for gaming purposes, so don't expect what you get with some other types that have angled drive.
Even your young ears couldn't hear it. Yeah, that shows that they are good. It's that simple. They are good.
Or even multiple drivers trying to reproduce as much of a surround environment as possible. But certainly they can be used for gaming. They do give reasonable reproduction, and I hope the binaural audio test gave you an idea of what to expect.
The thing is, I can game with these. I can. The sound is horrible. Like there's no bass at all. It is possible to play with these, but it's not fun. It sounds horrible. So an increase in quality of the hearing, that's enough. I don't need 7.1 surround sound. It doesn't really do anything for me. I'm over 40. I'm not a pro gamer. I will never play on the level of a pro gamer. I will also never try to do that. So for me, this is completely fine. Completely fine. And I think I will actually do a review of the headphones and link to his video. Because I think that might be interesting. Might be. So yeah, and that's also why I chose this. It sounds fine for gaming. I can't complain about anything that I heard. Maybe that's not enough bass, but you can put it in over I don't know, software or some audio interface, whatever. You can do that. You can make them have more bass. That's possible. So there's zero problems here.
Okay, we'll take a quick look at the build quality on these headphones. And as you'd expect, they're pretty well made here. Pretty solid when you try to twist them side to side. The stepped adjustments on the side as well seem to hold in place, so that's quite well done. You can fold them up, of course, if you want to, make them really compact. So for travel, that's nice to have as well. You notice that both sides do fully swivel. That's also really good to have. So you get a lot of adjustment when you put these on, really comfortable. Clamping force is reasonable, but not too much. So, I mean, you're going to be comfortable wearing these for a while. The pads, the ear pads themselves.
Which is also important for me. I mean, if I wear them for 5 hours straight, almost straight, unless I take a piss or something like that, this is very important. You know, being comfortable. Not having my ears being in pain after 5 or 10 minutes. Very, very important.
Cells are an upgrade over what you get with some of the more basic models in the line, like the 20s and 30s, even a little better than what you get with the 40s. So they will, they'll wear out, but they're replaceable. You get a...
Which is also, again, important. Replacing the pads on a actual headphone speakers. Which means as long as they produce sound, I will continue to... yes, 5 hours. I think 5 hours is long. I mean, I don't say that I will do 5 hours today because yapping for 5 hours is boring to only doing that. And I'm also already, neck pain, so will probably do 2 to 3 hours today and then call it a day and be fine with it. But headphones, wearing them over a long time, they can hurt your ears. And if you have some that don't, they are great. And I hope this will be the case here. And with these, I can switch out the padding if the padding is, garbage, worn down. I can switch out the cables. As long as the headphones work, I will be completely fine, because they are the most expensive stuff here. The rest is just, whatever. The padding costs, I think, almost 20 euros, which is insane. But 20 euros is less than 160, like, not even close. So even if I, over the next 10 years, pay again, I don't know, 60 bucks for paddings for the headphones, that's not a lot. It's less than a new headset, headphones. So I think it's worth it. Same with the cables. If all the cables break, I buy a new cable. Less expensive than a new headphone.
A cable on here, of course, that can be removed. That's a nice thing on these headphones. Comes with 3 different cables as well, so really good to see that. It inserts and then it locks in place, so you don't have to worry about it coming out. So overall, good quality, good build quality on these headphones, at least as good as what you'd expect for the price. Now for a quick look at the features and specs, these are a closed back dynamic design. They have an impedance of 38 ohms, so that's going to work with pretty much any kind of source you want. So if you want to use them with a phone, you want to use them with an audio interface, you don't need to have a special driver, special amp for this. Frequency response is pretty extended, 15 to 28,000 hertz. Sensitivity of 99 decibels with a max input power of 1600 milliwatts. You have 45 millimeter drivers here. They're copper-clad aluminum voice coils here as opposed to pure oxygen-free copper. That's a choice made here by Audio-Technica. The ear cups do swivel completely 90 degrees. It's collapsible. Leather ear pads. They come with 3 cables, as I said earlier, 2 straight and 1 coiled, so you're going to get a lot of choice there. They do lock in, so that's nice, and they're not going to fall out. And these are kind of a mid-weight headphone coming in at 285 grams. So I'll give you some final thoughts on these headphones. In the price range that they fall into, you actually get a lot for your money here. The performance, again, gives you a very realistic representation of what you're intended to hear from the original source. So I really like that. They are comfortable to wear. Not the most comfortable headphones I have, but again, price has to be considered here. They can get a little bit warm to wear after a period of time, so you want to keep that in mind, especially with, again, the pads that come with it. You could change it out for a set of velour pads to be a little bit cooler to wear, but they are a closed back design. Now the padding is reasonable on the top, so they're comfortable that way. No issues at all there. Durability is great. Again, we use these in our shared studio space. We've got a number of sets. Of course, these Audio-Technicas. We've got Sennheisers, Beyers, a real variety of headphones. Everybody likes something different, so we try to have a few different options for everyone. But they do hold up. They're really solid, well made. I do also like the M40Xs. I think they produce even a little more natural sound than these 50s do. And I have a review on that if you want to check that out as well. They're a little less expensive, and again, they're very natural sounding. But these M50Xs have really solid performance in the bass response and highs. You really get the sound. You get what you're intended to hear with them. So I really like them. Would I recommend them? Yeah, absolutely. At the price range they fall into, they're a good value for most use cases. And if you're interested in more headphones or audio production, check out one of the videos on screen. As always, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
Awesome guy. Awesome channel. I literally subscribed to his channel because he's so good at what he's doing. It's amazing. This is insane. His channel is, I mean, look at this. It's all about audio stuff. That's what makes his channel so good. I will watch some of his other videos about other things, because I think they will be very interesting for me, for future references when I improve my audio setup. Having actual, I don't even know. I mean, I'm not satisfied with the audio that I have 100%, but you know, I'm at my beginnings and I'm still figuring things out, and you know, spending a lot of money on it right now. I mean, $160 is a lot of money, but you know, going completely overboard, that's too much. But look at, he tested a lot of headphones and stuff like that, and I actually counted one pair out. Well, I counted this one out. That's cheaper. I thought it doesn't sound that great, but there was I think Sony. Yeah, right, Sony. There was one Sony headphone that he tested with vocals, and the female vocals over the headphone, they made me physically cringe. That's why I decided not to buy those, even though they were with everything else equally as oh, where is it?
The Audio-Technica M50X headphones.
Exactly. Equally or even better than an M50X. For about $100 more. So it is what it is. And yes, if you're looking for headphones, or I would, well, specifically for headphones, but also other audio stuff, give his channel a try. And if you're looking for headphones, go and see if he reviewed them, because his channel really helped me. Like every headphone that I took into consideration, I looked it up at his channel, and I have looked up, I think, 6 or 7, and then I got it down to 3, and then 2, and then again 3 maybe, and then again 2, and then I was like, okay, it's this one. It was that hard for me because I'm cheap and I want the best bang for the buck. So if you liked his video, subscribe to his channel, give it a like. If you like my video about his video and channel, give it a like, subscribe. Until I see you next time. Bye bye. And another video done. And now I will go and take a leak. Do I even wanna? Yes. Let's see what stupid people have to say.
And anyway, iDubbbz Cubs out against pattern recognition. Uh-oh. Let's see this.
Oh.
Yo, I mean, oh my gosh. This one. This person says, here in Italy, many of my friends have been robbed, assaulted, and it's been by North African immigrants each time. But I guess the smug Californian has ruled that drawing any kind of conclusion from that is wrong. It is wrong. It is
iDubbbz is stupid.
Is racist and fucking weird.
It's easy to say that because it's not happening to you.
By the way, just so we're clear, iDubbbz never went to Italy once in his life.
There's a wide variety of markets in Italy, from what I've seen, as someone who hasn't even been there. I went to a lot of places, virtually, on GeoGuessr, I've been to a lot of places in Italy.
In GeoGuessr. What does he mean? This guy means that, you know, if a certain group of people is committing all the crimes and you recognize, oh, it's a certain group of people that commits all these crimes, you are a racist. That's what he's saying. Because he lives in an area where this is not happening. or it's not happening to him. The moment it would happen to him, GeoGuessr, that is a game, yes. Well, it's a website where you can guess, where you get the picture and then you have to guess, where am I? I've been addicted to this one game. What does he mean? Yep. And he was in a lot of places in Italy on GeoGuessr, which means nothing. You have a friend named Riccardo? Might be Italian. But yeah, iDubbbz is being stupid.
iDubbbz is going to have this opinion because he can afford to.
You talk about things you definitely don't know or are not willing to understand. No, I know everything about Italy. No, dude, it takes 2 seconds to fucking Google.
So the guy living in California is shutting down Italians in his own comment section because he recognized patterns on Google. Brilliant!
You thinking that you're a pattern recognizer is not racist. Google.
There is the selfishness in the performative altruism that leftist people like this have. To them, it costs them nothing to virtue signal, but it costs other people potentially their lives. Luxury beliefs? Yes, it's a luxury belief.
Wait, what was that statistic? In Italy, foreigners account for 30% of homicide and violence suspects and 40% of rape suspects. Among the population, as reference, 8%. Homicide and I think I will go to prison for this. So 8% of the population commit 41% of this crime and 49% of burglaries, and assault and battery 33%, and homicide and attempts 28%. Oh, I wonder what the problem here is. Can't be culture, right?
But it costs other people potentially their lives. Luxury beliefs? Yes, it's a luxury belief. This is something that people can believe in because they can afford to.
Oh, this I also love. Let an undocumented immigrant move in with you. It's like change the undocumented immigrant part to fucking a stranger. Let a stranger move in with you. Yes,
literally. That's literally what he says.
Still don't like it, bro.
It's easy for somebody in a gated community to call you a racist and say that you're stupid, and you can see how gleeful and happy he is patronizing a person who's living being terrorized by North African migrants. And meanwhile, he's sitting in some probably $1 million house enjoying the comforts of a first world country. And I think it's very frustrating for people to see that from somebody like iDubbbz. It's very obnoxious.
Let an undocumented immigrant move in with you. No.
That's what he would say. No. Yeah, iDubbbz is retarded. He's stupid. He has no idea how the world works. He's just dumb. I mean, what else can you say? He's just dumb. Okay. We go on the watch later. I go get music going for you while I take a piss. And then we are good. Back after pissing. What happened? Oh, I really need to check on my Conflict of Nations game. Oh! Italy declared war on me. Why? Well, it's Italy. Why wouldn't they declare war on you? Why wouldn't they? Must be fascism. Okay. Let's see what do we do? I want to do something that's kind of funny. Funny or stupid. Too much drama lately. Let's watch this. Intel is falling apart. Intel is really not having a good time, you know, with their processors being number one, not as good as AMD, number two, having security issues. Their graphics card turning out to be quite decent. So that's a plus, but you know, it doesn't look that great. So let's take a look. Gamers Nexus, by the way, great channel.
Intel's in freefall. It's collapsing. In the last few months, Intel has been very busy for a lot of bad reasons. Intel has floated the idea of stopping node advancement without major customers. It has halted construction of fabs that it's received tens of billions of dollars for in worldwide government funding. It's selling off business groups, outsourcing entire departments, and has filed 30 worker adjustment and retraining notifications, aka layoffs, across 5—
Wait, what? Intel will outsource marketing to Accenture and AI, laying off many of its own workers. Oh boy. Intel delays completion of first Ohio plant to 2030. Yeah. Welcome back, Jesse. Oh, this is bad. Well, I think I've read somewhere in the last couple of weeks that they stopped building their plant in Germany. They wanted to build one, but they stopped. When I remember correctly, I am not 100% sure.
Tens of billions of dollars for in worldwide government funding. It's selling off business groups, outsourcing entire departments, and has filed 30 worker adjustment and retraining notifications, aka layoffs, across 5 states to remove 10% of its U.S. workforce, on top of the nearly 20,000 people who were either laid off or voluntarily left last year.
Whoa, wow. Yeah, they're bleeding out. I wonder what's going on. Oh my god.
And preceding the next round of layoffs already publicly planned. So it's not good. It's in what feels like a death spiral. That's not hyperbole here. This is all of these things that we're talking about today are very bad things for Intel.
Yes, and I think yesterday or the day before, I have seen a thumbnail of a YouTube video. Apparently there's a new graphics card manufacturer coming up. But I'm not sure about it. I haven't watched the video, so I don't know. I just have seen thumbnail and title, and that's what it's suggested. But if that's true, but I don't know.
And it ended July of this year by letting its employees and stakeholders know a few things. Intel let everyone know that after a long month of layoffs, they're not over. They also said that construction in Ohio is slowing. Operations in Costa Rica are shrinking. Plans for expansion in Germany and Poland are axed. The foundry pivot.
So it was true, yeah. Oh, yeah, this looks really bad for Intel. Like, really, really bad.
that had been both figuratively and literally bought into under Gelsinger's leadership will now be reversed, and the company's fate relies on a yet not existing customer who trusts Intel 14A enough to invest in it, something that not even Intel is confident doing enough on its own. So everything Intel is doing at this point looks like a complete collapse on itself. It has no marketable CPUs for at least the desktop space. It's just not a good reason to buy them in the space we're in. The fabs, as a result of that, have been shrinking because Intel was Intel's own biggest customer for Intel's fabs, and that customer, Intel, no longer needs as many CPUs as it used to. It has partially completed extremely expensive construction sites all around the world, including some that, as far as we know, will continue, like in Arizona, but others where Intel has explicitly stated that they are stopping, pausing, or halting, or intentionally slowing construction. And this is all in addition to Intel selling its own assets, stopping investments, as it has publicly stated.
Oh boy.
And this might help Intel stop the bleeding. We just wonder what Intel's game plan is when the bleeding is complete. Like when Intel is lying there and it has managed to stop bleeding out, but it can't get up on its own and no one's around. It's like, what's the plan here? Because
you know what's funny? If their graphics card would become so good that they keep the company running. That's literally what happened to AMD. The graphics card kept AMD alive, and then Ryzen came, and they kind of fucked up their graphics card division, but the CPUs were so good that they kept the company alive, and now their GPUs are and their CPUs are good. AMD is now the king. It looks like, at least to me. I mean, they have the CPUs and they have good GPUs. And they have the CPUs, I mean, they have the only CPUs that are actually worth buying. When was the last time you heard someone tell you buy Intel? The only thing about Intel that I hear when it comes to CPUs is negative things. And that's for over a year now. That's bad. That's really bad. No, I have heard good things about their graphics card. But that's it. And they don't ship enough graphics card that it would keep up the entire company. Because the company is too big. Too big for its own good. Just like the government.
They need something after this period to continue to exist. And so at this point, with the slowdown of investments, it looks like there really won't be anything left. And we're either witnessing the start of Intel's death spiral, or we are witnessing, in the words of Intel's now CEO Lip Butan, quote, a comeback that will be studied in business schools for generations to come, end quote.
I can believe that this will be studied in business schools for decades. But if it will be, a great comeback or the downfall of the company, that can't be said now. We don't know. I think this will play out over the couple of next 2-3 years, maybe 4. And then we will see.
And that is one hell of a thing to say before we're anywhere even close to seeing the comeback part of that. That is very early to start counting those chickens. They are not even eggs yet. So we recently talked about how Intel feels like the only hope in the GPU market to bring some kind of balance and knock the incumbents around a little bit, even if it's not competitive on performance, just on price. That's still true. But Intel has at this point depressurized. It's in a state of free fall. It's stalled out. Intel's fabs don't really have as many orders from Intel's product side anymore because no one's buying them. It's sort of like when the flight attendants tell you that you need to put your own oxygen mask on first before you help someone put their own on.
Yeah.
Intel needs to help itself first before anyone else can be involved. But the problem is Intel doesn't know which side of the oxygen mask it's supposed to breathe from. That's the problem.
Thanks, Steve.
Wait, isn't Intel the chip maker thing? Yes, they produce CPUs. They were, and I think they still are, the biggest. But AMD came in, crushing it with their Ryzen CPUs. It looks like they took so much market share that, and their processors are so much better than Intel's now, that Intel is dying. One reason for that might be that the company is just too big. They have too many people in the company that don't deserve to be there. The same happened with Twitter. That's why Elon could fire 80% of the staff of Twitter, and it just worked fine. A lot of big companies have that problem. They have so many people that a lot of them are completely worthless. And you have to cut the fat.
We brought you this video with our NVIDIA AI GPU Black Market Investigation backer rewards for our 3-hour-long movie launching on August 15th. The backer rewards include our new Turn a Blind Eye t-shirt, referencing the phrase iterated by multiple on-camera sources when we asked of NVIDIA's awareness to export control circumvention. We also have new sticker packs, including GPU Shredder paper launch stickers and Black Market Nexus Smuggling Company stickers, among other items like our new GPU VRAM glassware with gold halo rim. We recently announced that we're producing a long-form movie diving into how a modern, high-tech black market operates, including interviews on camera with suppliers, middlemen, and users of AI GPUs, plus discussion with smugglers. The project cost us over $100,000 now, and we need help to finish the investigative report. To help fund this effort, click the link below to our Black Market self-made fundraiser, sort of like a Kickstarter, and get exclusive backer rewards only available for the next few weeks.
Wow, I'm impressed. I'm impressed by this. I'm also surprised that there is a black market. But not that surprised either, because of course there's a black market.
Our bonus video content, group Q&A session with me, canvas print, and our physical item, like t-shirts, glassware, and stickers. Thanks for your support in making this unique video a reality. And remember, check back on August 15th to watch it. All right, so we have a few major topics today. This is recapping all the news from Intel for the past year or so, especially this year. This includes the sort of dwindling down or potential death of at least some of the fabs, the inability to compete in the product side, which we've known about, the death spiral that it's sort of entering right now, and then the plan for what's next, at least according to Intel. There was also some interesting news as we moved to filming this piece, which is that US President Trump just floated the idea of 100% tariffs on semiconductors made by companies not manufactured in the US. This statement could help or hurt Intel. It's really not clear right now. Yeah. The help part's pretty obvious why that might be the case, because if you cannot have a 100% tariff by making it through Intel, then good for Intel. Yeah. On the other hand, if it causes complete chaos, or if TSMC is able to capitalize on that, because TSMC also is building fabs in the US right now, right next to Intel, then it might not help Intel that much. But that's not what we're focusing on today. That just kind of came down the pipe as we're putting the rest of this together. Most of this is about Intel handling its own problems, and we'll start with the death of the fabs. Fabs are fabrication plants for silicon. They are extremely high-tech. It is possibly the most advanced manufacturing on the planet. We've toured one of Intel's own in Arizona, including its neighboring construction site. Hopefully those finish. Otherwise, our documentary tour will just become useful B-roll for someone in the future documenting the end of Intel. That video is worth watching, though, if you want to learn how these places work. Same for all of them. In Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan's July 24th statement this year, titled Steps in the Right Direction, released alongside Intel's second quarter 2025 financial results, the newly appointed CEO declared, quote, "Going forward, our investment in Intel 14 Angstrom will be based on confirmed customer commitments. There are no more blank checks. Every investment must make economic sense. We will build what our customers need when they need it and earn their trust through consistent execution." And
sounds good. But I think there is a but.
Quote, Mr. Tan, laying off employees is one thing, but executing them is just taking it way too far.
Oh, come on.
I mean, I don't think we need to... Oh, that's not the kind of... The point stands. This is a huge change from how recent and now stepped down CEO Pat Gelsinger was running the company, where his approach appeared to be heavy investment into Intel technologies, heavy investment into fabs, spend money to try and catch up as best as possible, because Intel was and is so behind in certain areas that his approach seemed to be spend the money to try and fix it. And the fact.
Yep, and that's stupid. You have to get people in that are passionate to build something new. Now you can do that with money, but passionate people don't necessarily care about the money as much as they care about being able to do the things they are passionate about. So the money would probably not even have been, needed. You could have said, okay, build a completely new CPU structure, go wild, and then just let the engineers do the engineering. While you still, one group of engineers doing complete new stuff, and then you have engineers that work with the tech that's already there, getting that a little better. And still selling stuff. That might work. Definitely better than just throwing money around, because that leads likely to nothing. You have to have an actual goal. That's the thing. If everyone in the leaderboard in leadership is only money people, they don't understand. They don't understand what it takes to build something new. Technology-wise. I mean, building a new company, of course, they know that, but yeah, it might be incompetence from the head that is killing Intel.
Labs were his big project in particular. 10 is cutting everywhere possible, and these are opposing strategies. But interestingly,
now cutting money everywhere is a mistake. I wouldn't cut money in the engineering area, because you need them to make new products and develop new technologies. You need them. So I would never cut there. Everything else, yes. Especially when it comes to marketing, because marketing doesn't matter if you don't have a product. You need a product to market. Otherwise, you have nothing to market, If you can't, if you haven't the product that's worth anything for the customers, then they don't buy it. You might need to go to, yeah, it's late at your place, yeah. I know.
Cutting the spend partway through the execution of a plan seems risky for new reasons. We think Tan's statement is extremely concerning for Intel. By pausing its 14A manufacturing process, Intel is giving up the race for cutting-edge process nodes, further reducing competition for the most technologically advanced foundries on the planet. It would just be TSMC now. Additionally, Intel's decision would likely cost it hundreds of millions in R&D and manufacturing facilities and equipment that may go unused. You could look at that and say, sunk cost fallacy, it's better to cut it now than to keep pouring money in. But no matter how you look at it at this point, there is waste being produced on one side or the other. Intel's announcement to pause 14A comes less than a month after Reuters reported on Intel allegedly exploring a shift into 14A, making Intel's drastic decision seem even more uncertain. Tan continued on, saying, quote, "We will take a fundamentally different approach to build our foundry business. Over the past several years, the company invested too much, too soon, without adequate demand," end quote. Gelsinger's approach appeared to be spend money to make money. It really looked that simple. And this is totally different. Prior to 10, Intel had, under Gelsinger, fully embraced this IDM 2.0 strategy.
Well, the video is about 25 minutes longer than now. And depending on how much I react, it might be way longer. We might be sitting here for a while.
This was a foundation.
But I would be up to it. Intel is worldwide. They have their seat in America, though. It's an American company.
change that distinguished Intel's products division from Intel's foundry division and allowed the foundry to offer manufacturing services to fabless chip makers or designers and allowed the products division to outsource its manufacturing. Fabless chip makers or designers include NVIDIA, which has floated being a customer to Intel, and AMD. AMD actually used to own fabs, and not only that, its founder was once quoted as saying, quote, "Real men have fabs," end quote. AMD is now fabless. Under Gelsinger, the company continuously poured money into several fab construction projects and invested just as heavily into manufacturing and R&D. It's obviously not this straightforward, but we can kind of understand the logic behind, we tried, if you build it, they will come, under Gelsinger, and it didn't work. So now let's do the opposite and try cut all spending under this other guy who's just come in. But the problem is that they didn't build it. They poured the concrete slab.
What do you mean? What did he say? That's where Intel has everywhere sites or future sites. Wafer fabs, I don't know. Fabrication for something. Assembly tests. Advanced packaging. Okay. Future sites. These are gone. And this is being built slower.
Continuously poured money into several fab construction projects and invested just as heavily into manufacturing and R&D. It's obviously not this straightforward, but we can kind of understand the logic behind, we tried, if you build it, they will come, under Gelsinger, and it didn't work.
Yeah, what he's saying is, you know, oh yeah, we built this factory and then we will get customers. And then they tried to build a factory, no new customers, they're losing money and the factory is not even done yet. Oh my god, we are losing money. And then a new guy came and he stopped spending money. Not only that, he fires a lot of people, he tries to save money. The exact opposite of what the first guy did. And at the moment, it doesn't look like it's working out. Give me a second. I hear a fire alarm. Not good. Okay. Looks like someone burnt his food. Back to the video.
So now let's do the opposite and try cut all spending under this other guy who's just come in. But the problem is that they didn't build it. They poured the concrete slab and they brought the porta potties in for their future store. And then they said, hey, wait a minute. There's no customers yet. This isn't working. We better just stop now. So Intel is stuck between two.
This means they have spent a lot of money. Well, like this, building this here had cost a couple millions. Just building this here. It's not even finished. It's just not even the skeleton is finished. This has cost millions and millions to build. And now they stop, which means these millions and millions are gone. They're just gone. And that's just building it. Planning. That's also millions. Planning this, it took years to plan this and to get all the stuff that's needed. Oh my god. Yes, so many cranes. Yes. I remember in Berlin in the 90s. I think that was Berlin. It was the biggest construction site in Europe. Cranes everywhere. I remember they built something there. I don't remember what it was. but there were even more cranes. It was insane.
Extremes of maybe under and over investment. Some of these, again, are continuing. As far as we know, Arizona's moving forward. But Intel has publicly stated its plans to slow or stop construction elsewhere. Unfortunately, Intel could not have picked a worse time, we think, to finally change its mind on foundries. The company had already invested so much capital in its pivot into fabs and even began receiving taxpayer money from government-funded CHIPS Act payments at around $8 billion, down from 8.5 or so after long delays and Gelsinger throwing the U.S. government under the bus for dragging its feet. And in addition to this, it had received promises from other countries around the world, and now it's decided it wants to change direction again, and all without ever giving the foundry a full chance to actually be complete and recoup the costs. Now, in some sense, these are a little...
Yep. So they spend money and they don't get anything back. Now, if they have gotten money from the government already, they might have to pay that back. I hope the government goes and says, yeah, give us the money back, because everything else would be stupid.
A bit disconnected in that there's a lot of money and it isn't all just in one giant money bucket, although I'm sure Intel wishes it were. They'd have to go to NVIDIA for that and ask Jensen to borrow some. But it's not all in one bucket. And so you could say, well, but they're still producing the fabs. They're still building the fabs in some of these locations. So they're still letting it get there. The thing is, though, we don't actually know that. We don't really know how far they're going to go with this at this point, because it's been nonstop cuts for like the last year now. Every month there's some big news. And I think everyone's just sort of waiting to hear what's next, what project gets the axe after this one. And it's like Intel went all in on a poker hand, and then they decided to just get up and leave the table and leave all the chips there and not even see what card turned over next. In the risk factors section of its 10Q SEC filing posted with the quarterly financials, Intel revealed its uncertainty and acknowledged the risks. This is standard for these filings. Intel said, quote, if we are unable to secure a significant external foundry customer for Intel 14A, our next generation semiconductor manufacturing process technology, we may pause or discontinue our pursuit of next generation leading edge process technologies, which may have significant strategic business, financial, operational, and reputational risks and repercussions.
Oh my god. If Intel fails them, who is going to become the next big boy? AMD. AMD are already there. AMD has the best processors on the market. That's why Intel is suffering. They can't compete against AMD at this point. Now back 10 years and further of that, AMD was not good when it comes to CPUs. They were completely held up by the mid-tier graphics cards. And that was the only reason AMD could survive. And then Ryzen hit the market and it blew everyone away. That's how good these CPUs were. And with every generation, they got better. That's why if you buy a pre-built gaming or streaming PC, there's a 90% chance it has a AMD processor. A couple of years ago, it would have been Intel, but that's not the case anymore.
Quote. Yes, we could have told them that.
Thanks, Steve.
Intel acknowledged several other risks it would be subjected to if it paused or discontinued 14A, including the risk of products becoming dependent on TSMC, who Intel stated it would receive competitively disadvantaged pricing from. The risk of significant R&D and manufacturing losses, like we just talked about. The company pointed out over $100 billion in property, plant, and equipment net on the balance sheet in its Q2 2025 results, as we understand them, and stated it would likely discontinue fab construction in Ohio if 14A paused. The risk of being
Yeah, if they don't get the new technology of them going, they will fail. They have to have new technology because the old one is not good enough. They can't compete anymore. That's the problem. They can't compete. They would only be able to compete if they basically bring out their what would be, you know, a high-end processor, but for little money, like little money. So they wouldn't even make money on the processors anymore. That's how behind they are when it comes to technology. Oh my god. Yeah, the company might actually go down. Which would basically mean AMD has a monopoly, which would be bad. You never want a monopoly.
Required to repay government funding or fees for not satisfying certain construction and or wafer requirements in certain agreements, the risk of losing key talent and expertise, and the risk of limiting Intel Foundry's ability to attract external customers. And the company stated this as well, quote, "We've been unsuccessful to date in attracting significant customers to our external foundry business," end quote. And, quote, "If potential customers for our upcoming Intel 18A P node believe we are no longer committed to continued development of next generation leading edge nodes, Intel 14A and beyond, they may be inclined to remain with their current foundry partners and unwilling to make the significant investments of time and resources needed to develop products on our nodes," end quote.
Yeah, why would they? Why would they try to develop on your technology if your technology is behind? Like, not just a little behind, but almost a decade behind. I mean, I haven't heard of any new technology that came out of the Intel CPU line. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember. From AMD, it's almost every generation. At least every 2 years, AMD brings out some new technology for the processors. Intel, I haven't heard of anything in years. Now, I haven't been on the market for a new processor in years, but still, I'm still kind of, in the sphere. If I hear something, I hear something. But this is bad. This is really bad.
Quote, "Finally, the company affirmed that, quote, any decision to pause or discontinue our pursuit of Intel 14A and successor leading-edge process technologies may be effectively irreversible," end quote. Now, when we've seen foundries get stuck on nodes in the past, at least in the past 16 years, maybe only 10 of those, I've really been somewhat paying attention to it. Not necessarily competently, but I've been paying attention to it somewhat. In the last 16 years or so, the times I've seen companies get stuck on a node, it does seem like they really struggle to get unstuck, just because the cost is so enormous to compete, and as soon as someone pulls ahead, if they have too much of a lead, everyone becomes their customer, and it's too late. And we saw this with Global Foundries. Global Foundries got stuck on 14 nanometer and abandoned development of 7 and 5, as reported by Anatech, which is gone and preserved by Level 1 text forums. This has sort of happened before. If Intel actually were to abandon advanced nodes, we think it genuinely might be game over. They might be in an unrecoverable state. At that point, like the competition, it's going to be Taiwan's TSMC and probably whatever state-funded semiconductor manufacturer is the most successful in China, for example.
Yeah.
And beyond that, there's not a lot left. I mean, Samsung's making stuff. Of course, there's companies, SK Hynix, Micron, these makers of memory, makers of MOSFETs, ICs, things like that. They exist. Global Foundries still exists. But this sort of super high-tech CPU, GPU class silicon, there's not a lot of options out there. And Intel walking away from it, that's going to be eventually something that consumers will feel even more than they do now as well. It should be reassuring that...
Because that's kind of creating a monopoly, which means everything will get more expensive. We don't want that. We want Intel to succeed. Why? So there are more manufacturers, so they have to, fight things out on the price level. They can't just, oh yeah, this processor, this entry-level processor, $1,000. No one would buy that. Okay. Goodbye. Good night, Jesse. Yeah, this is bad. This is bad news.
Intel is at least aware in its risk statement of what it stands to lose, but we find it almost more concerning that the company understands that risk and is still considering taking it and pausing 14A. Laying off a quarter of the company again and stopping investment into 14A, it might reduce operating costs in a way that slows the bleeding. Maybe it helps with liquidity or something. But it's barely a drop in the bucket, we think, as people who aren't experts in like these multi-billion-dollar operations financially, but it just seems like a drop in the bucket compared to the potentially massive loss in the long run of just not being competitive anymore, even in fabrication. And this could be a death knell to Intel's fabs, we think, if they don't proceed carefully. Unless Lip-Bu-Tan can see something that nobody else can, this indicates a collapse, or in the very least, to quote Costanza, shrinkage of several significant arms of Intel's business. It doesn't look good, just like the shrinkage. And besides, the new CEO hasn't once given us the reassurance that only a parent can.
So kids, Papa's here.
Oh, how we miss his memes.
Jesus.
Tim, our news editor, tells me regularly how he misses having new Pat Gelsinger clips to pull from. Now, continuing in its push for short-term cash, Intel began breaking some of its business groups into smaller scale groups that it could sell off, often while remaining an investor in them. In April, Intel sold its Altera business, a semiconductor solutions company, to Silver Lake while remaining a 49% owner. In June, it outsourced its marketing department and killed its automotive business the following week. In July, an Intel...
Wait, they have what?
An owner. In June, it outsourced its marketing department and killed its automotive...
Intel will shut down its automotive business? Lay off most of the departments. Why were they trying to produce cars? Are you stupid? Don't. This is one of the most stupid ideas I can imagine. Why would you try to get into a market that's completely saturated by a lot of brands already? And not just a lot of brands, a lot of manufacturers. Why would you even try? Oh, let me guess. Electronic cars. Still the same. Stop. That was a stupid idea.
Business the following week. In July, an Intel spokesperson informed the media, quote, "We plan to establish key elements of our networking and communications business as a standalone company, and we have begun the process of identifying strategic investors. Like Altera, we will remain an anchor investor, enabling us to benefit from future upside as we position the business for future growth," end quote. The telecommunications company Ericsson, seemingly most dependent on Intel's NEX group for the use of its radio access network, or RAN chips, appears most likely to invest in the now independent networking group. Intel also mentioned another sell-off, quote, "In line with Intel's commitment to strengthen its balance sheet and monetize non-core assets, the company sold, via a secondary offering, 57.5 million of net Class A shares of Mobileye in July 2025, adding approximately $922 million to the balance sheet. Intel remains the majority shareholder in Mobileye and continues to have strong conviction in its long-term growth opportunity," end quote. According to its balance sheet, Intel raised its current cash assets by $1.4 billion in the first 2 quarters of 2025, despite losing roughly $4 billion in current total assets. Now, if that business decisions, they look bad, it's kind of like a flailing, panicked slow down, shut down, sell off of anything they can find in the company. They're flipping couches over right now, digging through the cushions. Maybe they'll take the coffee and the free bananas away again. But currently it feels like there's no real map marker for where Intel is going. They just know they need to try and stop spending money. And to really understand how much Intel is cutting spending in every possible sector, it helps to rapidly recap some of the layoffs. Last year, Intel laid off around 15,000 people and even cut the free coffee and bananas, as referenced earlier. But it
cutting $10 billion in spending. Whoa, that's so much money. What you can do with so much money. Oh my God.
People and even cut the free coffee and bananas, as referenced earlier. But it has since resumed that part. More than 15,000 people left, though. It's somewhere between 15 and 20,000, as we understand it, with a lot of people leaving voluntarily. Intel internally offered, as we understand it, voluntary departure, where people could take whatever deals they may have had for leaving the company and get out early without being officially laid off. And that would have affected the publicly reported number for layoffs at that time. The company hasn't stopped bleeding employees for over a year now, though. So for 2025, on July 7th, layoffs began for 696 employees in Chandler, Arizona. July 11th, 398 employees were laid off in Folsom, California. On the 15th, Intel laid off 953 employees across 6 Santa Clara offices, 2,392 across 4 Oregon campuses, and 110 from Austin, Texas, totaling 3,455 employees laid off in a single day. The following day, Intel announced 227 more layoffs, impacting its facility in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Oregon took the biggest hit, making up over half of the recent layoffs, and by recent we mean like a month ago, impacting 2,392 employees across 4 facilities. Oregon was also the only state to include a detailed list of the positions of those laid off. According to the listing, the employees most impacted were engineers and technicians working in modules, followed by those in process integration and yield, which Intel really shouldn't be screwing with right now, but I guess we've forgotten about the oxidation problem. Out of the 2,392 layoffs in Oregon,
Intel has an oxidation problem with their processors, really? Oh god, that's... Why?
there were 412 module equipment technicians, 307 module development engineers, 148 module engineers, 92 process integration development engineers, 55 yield development engineers, and 49 process integration and yield technicians. There were also a total of 10 VPs from the Oregon campuses affected by layoffs in various departments. Now, some of these are management jobs, and when Lip Bhutan joined, that's what he said. He said he'd get rid of middle management layers. We reported on that.
That's good. Middle management costs a lot of money and doesn't produce anything.
But a lot of the ones we just read, they are not management jobs. They are manufacturing jobs and engineering jobs. And manufacturing jobs specifically are the very jobs that Intel promised the United States government when it took the $8 billion of taxpayer money from the CHIPS Act to build fabs. The whole thing was it's going to, as they like to say to governments, quote, create jobs. And that was when Intel was promising a $100 billion investment in total in its US-based silicon facilities.
They wanted to spend $100 billion. That's so much money. Oh God, is that so much money? Oh God. That's a lot of money.
These weren't unexpected layoffs, though.
Should have given me that money. I would have done something useful with it.
CEO Lip Bhutan, who comes from Cadence, the company recently in the news for pleading guilty to violating U.S. export controls while Lip Bhutan was CEO of Cadence, has continuously expressed the need to streamline Intel's internal processes since being appointed. In his April 24th statement to shareholders titled Our Path Forward, Tan stated, quote, "We are seen as too slow, too complex, and too set in our ways, and we need to change. That's why I'm proud to announce our new Intel Crime Fab. We will fabricate criminal charges in exchange for money, and the fines will always be lower than the amount we..." Oh wait, no, I misread that. That's actually not what that says. It's not even close. I don't know how that got in there. That's weird. It says something about vital changes for the companies. Maybe he's changed how things operate under him. These mainly consisted of empowering engineers, whatever that means, and downsizing the team for cost and streamlining purposes, and returning to office. Surely that's the part that'll fix this. Tan also ended with his hopes to, quote, "pull off a comeback that will be studied in business schools for generations to come," end quote, which seems very bold to say so early. It's sort of like if you're about to do a sick jump, and you say to your friend, "Watch this." In the statement, Tan described how, quote, "many of the changes we will be driving are designed to make engineers more productive by removing burdensome workflows and processes that slow down the pace of innovation," end quote. He also stated,
and then they fire all the engineers.
Oh. Quote, "I've been surprised to learn that in recent years, the most important KPI for many managers at Intel has been the size of their teams. Going forward, this will not be the case. I'm a big believer in the philosophy that the best leaders get the most done with the fewest people. We will embrace this mindset across the company, which will include empowering our top talent to make decisions and take greater leadership of key priorities," end quote. And
I kind of agree, because if the size of the team determines, I don't know, how much or how good a manager does his work, I mean, that's dumb. Only because you have a lot of people doesn't mean the work is good. I mean, there's a saying, too many cooks. I don't know the word for brei in English, but they ruin it. And that I think that's going on here.
Its most recent quarterly report, Intel announced plans to reduce, quote, headcount by approximately 15%, end quote, and, quote, end the year with a global workforce of about 75,000 employees as a result of workforce reductions and attrition, end quote. Something about this is familiar to about 24 years ago. For reference, the last time Intel had 75,000 employees that we could find recorded, or fewer than that, was in 1999, the same year it released the Pentium 3. In 2025, Intel started the year with 99,500 employees in its core workforce, so Tan's end goal would ultimately reduce Intel's headcount by about a quarter or so, or 25,000 people in a single year. Intel also ended projects in Wrocław, Poland, where it had expected to create 2,000 Intel jobs, and in Magdeburg, Germany, where 3,000 Intel jobs were expected, but are now gone. Additionally, Intel decided to shrink the assembly and test operations in Costa Rica, where it employed over 3,400 people. An Intel spokesperson told The Verge that over, quote, 2,000 Costa Rica employees should remain to work in engineering and corporate, end quote, so the site will see a reduction of around 1,400 jobs. In Intel's Q2 report, the company listed 96.4 thousand employees in its so-called core workforce globally, meaning 3,100 layoffs had occurred in the first half of the year. As we understand it, all of the recent layoffs occurred after June 28th. This is also seemingly for W-2s. We're not exactly sure how 1099s or contractors would be affected here. So the recent layoffs being after June 28th would be when Intel recorded its second quarter data, meaning the current employee count is likely significantly lower than the 96.4 thousand listed and won't be reflected until the next filing. And that brings us to the product side. We're going to keep this short since most of you already know how bad Intel's product side has been for the last several generations of CPU. Intel's product division has been unable to provide any support or relief for the company. It's launched one bad CPU after another, crushed the company's reputation with monumentally inept responses to the oxidation and voltage instability and degradation issues on the 13th and the 14th gen. Intel has not only outperformed at every single price class with its Core Ultra series versus AMD's desktop CPUs, it has faltered in its fabrication and design abilities in a way that harmed enterprise relationships. Found via WC.
It's almost like they try to kill the company. If they would come out, yeah, we done fucked up. There won't be a new CPU release this year. We are focusing on complete new technology for in 2 years to release something great then. But I think the company would go bankrupt then if they do that.
CCF Tech, large German PC component retailer Mindfactory, which has problems of its own, shared its CPU sales from July, highlighting the extent of AMD's lead in the current desktop CPU market. According to the Post, AMD...
Did you read that? Mindfactory sales stats reveal AMD maintains its over 90% CPU share in Germany. Amazon US also shows how Intel failed to even enter the top 10 best-selling CPUs. Holy cow! This is big. I mean, back in the day, that was the other way around. 90+% were Intel. But that shows you if you slack off because you are the big fish in in the pond, you get eaten.
Highlighting the extent of AMD's lead in the current desktop CPU market. According to the Post, AMD sold over 12,500 CPUs to Intel's 1,100, resulting in a 92 to 8% split in market share by new units sold, and a split in revenue closer to 94 to 6%. We checked our own affiliate data, and we can confirm that most of our viewers are buying AMD. It varies, but typically it's above 80%.
Yeah, to be fair, I would buy AMD too, because I haven't heard anything positive about Intel in years. And AMD's processors, I only hear positive things about them. Like, that's literally what's going on here. Intel bad, AMD good. the exact opposite what it was when before Ryzen. Before Ryzen, everyone wanted Intel. Even while Ryzen Generation 1, people were still, yeah, Intel is better for gaming. Because they had faster core clocks that made them better in gaming. But AMD got faster and better, and now they are just better than Intel in general. And it seems like it's not even close.
Of new CPUs sold. On Amazon, the top 25 best-selling CPUs consist of 19 AMD processors to 6 Intel processors at the time we wrote this. Not to mention, 4 out of the 5 Intel Core Ultra processors that are listed on Amazon are currently discounted below their MSRP, further emphasizing Intel's inability to compete with AMD's current...
Oh my god. So has the Intel processor 16 cores? 8P? The P might stand for physics, I don't know. Cores plus 16 E cores? What does that mean? AMD Ryzen, 8 cores, 16 threads. I can understand that. But Intel, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Ah, curious. But just when let's say they have the same amount of cores. I guess the E cores are the threads. You know that so they are having the same cores, same threads. AMD is tacked lower. But well, we have seen the charts, so the processor will be faster, but in actual applications, and it costs less. So why would I buy Intel? Why would I? Why would I buy that? I've no reason to buy Intel if I've a Ryzen with the same cores that is just better in everything and cheaper on top of that. Why would I not take the AMD processor over Intel? Wait, oh, this thing has 24 cores. Oh, it has 28 cores. Nice. But is it faster than this one? I don't know. I would look that up and then make a decision. Which I won't do now. I'm just talking. But yeah, if I had to decide between these two, I would look up how they are. I mean, they are being tested dozens of times, both of them. I can just Google, I can go on YouTube and just search them up and have them. It's easy. I would make my decision based on that. And I would likely still go with the AMD at the end. Even if it performs, let's say this performs 5% worse than this one. That's nothing. For that price? But then it's 5%. Well, at the end, it depends on your use case. Back to the video.
Generation of desktop offerings, even with the marked down price of its processors. Now, Intel makes more than just desktop CPUs, but that's okay because it's also getting killed in things like handhelds, so that leaves basically laptops. Despite current struggles, Intel has long held the lion's share of the CPU market and continues to maintain it.
This has changed massively. I mean, this is just February 2024 to July 2025. This used to be about almost 90% Intel. Wow, they have lost so much market share. This is insane.
By just worldwide usage. However, AMD is outselling Intel in our category for desktop and will eventually chip away at the market share total. And ultimately, holding share from old CPUs doesn't make Intel new money, which is what it needs. So currently, it looks like Intel's goals right now are to cut costs and maybe improve short-term cash flow or be a little more positive on cash flow where possible. For the time being, Intel might have enough room to keep its head above water, but this is a situation where the water is still rising. And so this strategy, it really only works a couple times before you're out of things you can sell and cut. Like at some point you exhaust all those options. So unless Tan's approach relies on laying off another 25,000 in 2026, we're not exactly sure where the end game is. It takes a really long time for these companies to make even a CPU, to bring it through design to production. Then it has to be competitive. And so even just the window on making hopefully competitive products in the CPU space, that's a pretty long window. GPU, we know they are price competitive, but from as far as we understand, they are either making unbelievably small amounts of money or are potentially negative on some of those sales. So it's not looking good for Intel. AMD once had its own hard times, though. So it is possible to recover. AMD did it. You look at them today, they are doing amazingly. But there was a period where AMD was close to bankruptcy. Shortly after buying ATI, AMD nearly went bankrupt. It owed a lot of money to a lot of people, and it even had to sell its offices and then lease them back. So it lost that asset of the buildings, burned them in favor of a short-term cash injection from the sale. That probably looked like its own death spiral. It took about a decade after that for AMD to begin to become the company that it is today. It clearly worked, but there were a lot of moments where AMD was make or break. And in fact, in our own interview with AMD's engineering team, we were previously told that AMD, quote, bet the company, end quote, on Zen. Now, AMD at that time.
I can completely believe that. Completely. And it worked out. The leadership went, okay, balls to the wall. We need an insanely good product. Or we are done anyway. So let's make this insanely good product. And they did. And they won. And now we are here. They are crushing it. Good for them. They could have failed. But they didn't. They didn't. They put something out that was competitive to a very competitive price. And that's why they succeeded. And then the next generation after that was even better. And then the generation after that was even better. That's the thing. Their CPU is getting better and better. It's insane. And the same is now happening with their graphics card. They're getting better and better. That's why if everything goes right and I'm monetized at the end of this year, beginning next year, I want to buy a new streaming computer. And that will be completely AMD again. And I wanna apparently the next generation of the graphics card that will be the 10,000 something, whatever. Gonna be good for rendering, aka better said streaming and encoding, stuff like that. So if they get that in check, I mean, for gaming they're already fine. They're already there. But if they get the encoding for streams, good. Nvidia might be in trouble. But we will see. We will see.
Time was really scrappy, and there wasn't a whole lot of corporate structure left. once they were at that point. Even today, on our side, just on the press side, working with AMD versus working with Intel, it is unbelievable how different they are. I mean, Intel, if we wanted to talk to literally any employee there, the amount of people that request would have to go through, and then the answer that would get filtered back down, it's nothing like AMD. AMD, I can like email a guy and get his answer, and that's kind of it. So, and that's just on the press side. It just kind of gives you a picture of.
That's, by the way, very good that the AMD is run that way. Because that saves a lot of money. It's as simple as that. And the thing is, he probably emails a guy that is in charge and knows what can be getting out when it comes to information and what not. He has to know this to make the decision, and he makes a decision. Not like Intel, where you have the person you get in direct contact with has no idea what's going on, so he gives it up, and then it goes further and further until someone is reached that knows what's going on, and then it comes back, which takes time. It can take weeks because big companies are slow.
How the companies operate culturally, so it's a totally different mindset. And for Intel to recover, just my own opinion, I feel like Intel needs that scrappier startup mindset, and the GPU side has that. But obviously the GPU side is not enough to sustain Intel. So like they need to get some of that over to the CPU side and maybe the foundry side and have more of that.
I agree.
I don't know, like just less, like they care more, less corporate, less bullshit. And maybe some of what Tan is doing will help with that. But one thing that it doesn't help with is morale. And that could be damaging. So anyway, Intel, in the very least, looking back at all this whole report, the one takeaway we have reading Intel's own words is that, and this is what, if Gordon Ma-Un were able to join for this and we ran our piece, is Intel actually screwed? I think, at the end of that conversation, my answer to that piece would be that without a customer for 14A, Intel is screwed. And I'm pretty confident that his answer would also be that right now it looks like Intel is screwed. And then
I'm with that. Yes, they have to get the technology going, and no, they have to get the custom for the 14 something going and develop the 18 something. If they don't do that, they're done. Unless they kind of stop anything processors, fire everyone, maybe except the engineers, and focus completely on the graphics cards. But I don't see that. The thing is, the technology behind the graphics card seems to be good, but they aren't there yet with all the performance, and of course, which also is with the drivers. It's a mix between the hardware isn't 100% there, but the drivers are even worse. But the drivers are getting there. That's why you have performance jumps, which are quite significantly, at least what I have heard. So yeah, they can do it, but
he'd have some positive side of maybe they can fix it, and maybe they can. AMD did it. That's probably the best indicator we have that is possible. Whether Intel can do it, we don't know. They're totally different people running the companies. So we'd like to believe that Lip-Bu Tan is playing some kind of 5D galaxy brain chess that none of us are intelligent enough to understand, and it'll just like work out great. But obviously.
Hey Udo, hope you're doing good. Yeah, you're coming to the wrong time. I'm about to quit for today because my neck is hurting.
Things are looking very grim for Intel at the moment, but it's not just Intel that it's looking grim for. Even the CEO looks like he's got some hard times ahead.
Oh,
U.S.
boy.
President Donald Trump called for Lip-Bu Tan to resign just a couple days ago. Trump stated, quote, Liputin is highly conflicted and must resign immediately. There's no other solution to this problem, end quote. This is coming from the guy who, like a week ago, said he didn't know who Jensen Huang was, by the way. So, like, putting a spotlight like this.
Well, I don't neither. So, whatever.
On a specific guy in the industry, well, I mean, you can look at their stock price. It had an effect. Intel stock, at least briefly, went down immediately in response to that comment.
I said, who the hell is he? What's his name? His name is Jensen Huang, NVIDIA. I said, what the hell is NVIDIA? I've never heard of it before.
But the U.S. government, it's not a non sequitur ad in here because it's actually pretty critical to this.
Oh,
Intel is big enough, even now, and its fabrication capabilities are so rare, and it's an American company. All of these things matter to the U.S. government because Intel has a specific, I'm sure, national security interest for the U.S. government.
Yes, 100%. The US government doesn't want Intel to go bankrupt. They need the technology.
And it just, you know, you don't want to say too big to fail because we've seen how that works out. And it's not good for everybody else. Although it was for the banks, but that was a different story. But
that were the banks.
In this case, it does seem like Intel is, the US government has an interest in keeping Intel as at least a majority-held US company that maintains its manufacturing capabilities. It just seems like they would want that in the same way that the US government will bail out other companies it views as important for one reason or another to the country. And so that is important. We don't know how it plays in. I have absolutely no idea. But as far as Intel and from the consumer side, we are definitely, it's like the come on, do something meme with the stick and the poking the thing. Right now, the stage we're at for Intel is that meme, and we are poking Intel with the stick, hoping that it moves or does something. That's where we're at with Intel. So that's it.
What would be funny if the graphics card division comes out with something that blows everyone's mind. That's competitive with AMD and Nvidia and to a reasonable price. That would be insane. That would be insane. I can see people then buy that graphics card in droves if it's good.
This report on Intel and what looks like a collapse, at least right now. I mean, genuinely, hopefully they turn it around. At the same time, if they can't, then I don't know, fuck them. Like, someone else has got to come in and do it. The problem is, these fab projects, you can't just be any startup and do it. You need billions of dollars and unbelievable talent. So it'll have a consumer effect downstream. We just don't know what it's going to be if they go under. And consumer side CPU and GPU is basically all coming from TSMC, maybe a little bit of Samsung, then that's going to be reflected in prices for sure at the consumer level. But we'll see how that pans out. Anyway, that's it for this report. We will keep you updated on Intel. And as always, subscribe for more. Go to store.gamersaccess.net to support us and our ability to spend time compiling this stuff, doing all the research and aggregation of all the information. And you can grab one of these brand new shirts. This is for our upcoming Black Market GPU video, where we were able to find smugglers for mostly NVIDIA high-end AI GPUs, bringing them into China, where they are supposed to be banned for sale from U.S. companies to China. And the shirt says Zheng Yijian, Bi Yijian, which is open one eye, close one eye.
That's what it's about?
An idiom that was said by multiple people in our deep dive into this story when we asked them, do you think NVIDIA knows? And the answer effectively translated to, turn a blind eye. Check back for that video. That goes up August 15th, and you can go to store.gamersaccess.net to grab this shirt or one of our many other items for the launch of the video. Subscribe for more. We'll see you all next time.
Okay, we gonna watch that documentary when it comes out.
Intel's in free fall.
Stop it. Good video. It's nighttime for you anyways, yeah. Jesse went a bit too, which now makes me think, where the hell are you from? But yeah, I'm almost clicked on that Discord. Can't do that. can't do that when I'm on stream. But yeah, whew. Yeah, I've been going for almost 3 hours already. But my neck is hurting. And I'm expecting a package, new headphones. Which was the second video that I did today. So if you wanna go back and watch that, it's on the stream. On the VOD of the stream that's about to go live after I stopped streaming. Okay. That's it for today. The plan is tomorrow War Thunder, which Twitch drops, premium account and new headphones. That's the plan. And I hope everything goes right. If not, well, we will see what happens. And now I have to end the stream for YouTube first. YouTube, bye bye.